Hi, Nancy. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Carrie?
I'm wonderful. While we're recording this, it's Monday afternoon. Monday's my favorite day of the week, so I'm excited to start my week and um yeah, I love Mondays.
I like that. Most people,
Yeah.
kind of get into Monday kicking and screaming. So
Yeah.
here's somebody that loves Monday.
Yeah, I'm unique. So I always like to start these out with a like an icebreaker question. So I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite smell?
Oh, I would say maybe it's cinnamon.
Cinnamon, like hot cinnamon or like the
Yeah, just,
warm spice?
kind of the warm spice, I guess.
Okay.
Something when you can smell something on the stove, maybe with cinnamon
Oh, yeah. Okay.
or
Baked
baking
goods.
oven. Right.
Yeah, that is a good smell. All right. Nancy, tell us who you are, where you are, and why you're here. What do you do?
Okay.
Tell us
So
all about you.
Okay, yeah, a little bit about me. So I'm Nancy, Purcell, and I am here because I really like to talk today about a grassroots movement that I'm trying to get going, and it's called Reach Across the Aisle. And the idea is to have people all across the country encourage Congress to work together instead of what's been happening, in previous years, which is a lot of bickering. And then they really can't get done what we need to have happen in this country. So I'm fortunate right now to be a retired English teacher. So I have time to devote to something like this. And so that's, how I'm choosing to use my time. And of course, with COVID-19, we have, I think, even more time at home, more time to reflect. And I just got really inspired, to get started with this. And so that's what I'm doing. I also practice yoga. I also write. And I have a family, not at home right now, but I have grandchildren that I spend time with. And just very fortunate to be a member of a small community in Tempe, Arizona. I
Okay.
live in a little community called the Lakes, and I'm on the board there. And so just trying to, I don't know, guess be a good person, a good citizen, and help where I can.
Wonderful. So you said you're a retired English teacher. How long did you teach?
So I taught for 30 years.
Wow.
I taught at all different levels. I started out in middle school, and then I moved to elementary school for a little while. And I went up to high school, which is where I always thought I would teach in the first place. And I think that was probably my favorite place. And that's where I was able to teach English sophomores, juniors. And then even after I retired from high school teaching, I taught for Rio Salado College in their creative writing program online.
Oh, fun.
Didn't know if I liked that or not because it's very different, from being in the classroom, but it
Hmm.
really does turn out you can have a relationship with people online.
Hmm.
You probably have found that out in your work here.
Yeah. Well, it's almost mandatory now.
Yeah, right.
Um, I took a creative writing class online and I purposefully did that online because I didn't want to have to look at someone and hand them my creative writing and say, "Here, judge me now." Um,
Exactly.
but it was definitely different than being in the classroom. But it was nice. You can build a relationship that way. So,
You can. And I was fortunate in that I would get to know my students and know what their goals were with the creative writing
mm,
class. If they really
yeah.
want to be a professional writer, then I have to be more attentive to all the aspects of writing, grammar.
Hmm.
If they're trying to write so they can write down their family's story and just have a little fun with it, then I could temper how I said things and what I said. So,
Okay.
it's nice. So I guess I throw that out there for anybody who wants
Yeah.
to try some online creative writing classes. I think a lot of teachers are that way. We're not really out there to judge you, just want to help.
Yeah. So how long have you been retired from teaching?
So since 2010.
Okay, so a decade-ish.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And tell us about the shirt you're wearing, first of all.
Okay. So I'm wearing a shirt that says, reach across the aisle. And The idea is the hands, of course, are red and blue, and that's so that the Democrats and Republicans can reach across the aisle. On the bottom of it, it does say our website also, which is
Mhm.
twopartiesonesolution.com. And that's where anybody can go to find out more about our movement, what we're doing. There's some blogs on there that I've written. I've kind of laid off in the last couple of weeks since the elections, just to give people a break.
Yeah.
But, just really want to discuss this, with people and encourage everybody to get involved. I'm inspired by Margaret Mead's saying that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
Mhm.
And, so we've taken that first step, in America to lose our apathy that we have had sometimes for politics. People are more involved now. So now we just need to stay with it,
Yeah.
and work together to get our voices known.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what, do you want to know why I want people to buy a shirt?
Oh, of
Or
course. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So there are many goals. So with buying the shirt, first of all, I kind of call it a t-shirt revolution. Always take to the streets. That's very time consuming. It's expensive. It's disruptive in cities. You never know how people might behave when they get there. So, but if you buy a t-shirt and you start to wear it, maybe people around you start to notice and ask about it, which I've had happen. I was just at the hardware store and the lady said, "Oh, I really like your shirt." So you kind of can get a conversation going that way. So that's one thing to do. I notice that it's a reminder when I wear it about reaching across the aisle in many different ways, not just politically. But let me finish, I guess, with the political thought first.
Mhm.
So people can buy a shirt and they can take a picture of themselves in that shirt and send it to a representative and say, "This is what I want you to do." Because I think that our leaders are sometimes hesitant to cross party lines because they think, well, maybe they're letting down the constituents who voted for them. Maybe they had a particular platform they presented. But I think we want them to know that, look, now that you're in office, you represent everybody, people that voted for you, people who didn't vote for you. So we need you now to work for everybody. So don't be afraid to do that. We want you to do that. We want to encourage you to look at an issue and not be labeled and felt that, well, just because you are affiliated with a certain party, you have to vote that way. It's so important to take a look at each issue and do what's right. That's what we're counting on.
Mhm.
They need to know that from us, so they don't feel like they're betraying maybe some people who
Yeah.
support them.
Yeah. So let's back up a little bit. How did you go from being an English teacher, retiring, to starting this revolution, this t-shirt revolution?
Yeah. It's actually started possibly a while ago. I take yoga. I take a lot of yoga classes and I work at a yoga studio when there's not a pandemic going on. And one day, one of our yoga teachers played a song by Jack Johnson called With My Own Two Hands.
Mm, he's
And
lovely.
you might be familiar with it. I've been emailing him, hoping he'll wear a shirt and promote this idea because it inspired me to think maybe with my own two hands, I could do something. So, but that kind of sat with me for a while. And it really was this past year with everything that's hit our country from, Black Lives Matter and the very heated elections,
Mm,
uh, the pandemic, that, wow, something has to happen here. And that maybe we've just accepted that Congress can't get anything done because they bicker. That's what they do. And so the idea that kind of makes me mad when I hear, oh, the Republicans are controlling the Senate, you know, or the Democrats are controlling the House. Well, really, I don't think it should be that way. We can have, you know, more members of one party than another, but it just shouldn't be a guarantee that that's how a vote is going to go, because that's not really how we're going to get things done together. And that's been proven, in the last
Mhm.
years. There
Right.
has not been as much progress. So it was kind of gradual, but it really was, I was really inspired, by the crisis really in our country.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us wish that we could have done something to get more involved and to be helpful. I mean, in some way, shape, or form. I think a lot of us felt like almost, I don't want to say useless because that's such a negative word, but just helpless. That's a good word. Just what do you even do? Does it matter if we vote? Does it, how much power do we, the people, actually have to make a difference? And I think this election in particular really opened up how much power do we have? And it opened up that question and all the possibilities.
And I think that's a great thing, but we
Oh,
just
yeah.
can't get back to business as usual,
Right.
because that was pretty exhausting for us all to wake up to that, don't you
Oh,
think?
yeah.
I mean, I was aware in a way that I have not been in my past. I have to admit, there were so many years that I just felt like it was great if I just remembered to vote.
Hmm.
I was busy like so many people, raising a family, working, trying to keep, my house going, getting to the grocery store, who had time to figure out about politics, that was maybe for other people.
Right.
I think that's gotten us into some trouble. We need to make it a little more of a priority.
Complacency.
Yeah, and believe in it.
Yeah.
Believe that we, like you said, coming to an understanding that we can make a difference. And, it's really like a lot of things that you talk about in your show. We could feel overwhelmed, like, how can I make a difference in my diet?
Hmm.
Can I make a difference in change my life, and get more exercise or have positive thoughts? Or, it's really all the same thing. It's
Hmm.
starts with believing and maybe having some encouragement from other people around us
Right.
that it is, possible.
That support system is so important, and certainly in this situation as well. So, good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you're also an author.
Yes.
Are you okay talking about your book?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
tell
can.
us about your book.
Yeah. So it has kind of an unusual name. It's called "Stop Twisting the Knife," and it's the second part of the title is a novel approach to addiction recovery. And I was trying to be clever with the word novel because it's a novel, but I'm using a novel to kind of introduce maybe some ideas that I have for how we might look at working with addiction in a little different way. And so the Stop Twisting the Knife is that I feel like a lot of addiction recovery programs are pretty punitive and
Mm,
uh, pretty, they're almost punishing, for the addicts. And it's hard for them to get out from under that and to have something to look forward to in their lives. So I belonged to an organization for a long time called PALS, which was Parents of Addicted Loved Ones.
mm,
As I went to meeting after meeting, there was kind of a common thread that a lot of our kids didn't have much to look forward to. They may have screwed up their lives and had criminal records because of drugs. They've ruined relationships. They don't have a license. They have to do community service. And what they really have to look forward to are meetings,
mm,
to go to endless meetings where they begin perhaps saying their name and that they're an alcoholic or a drug addict. And while admitting and realizing, that you have a problem is the first step, I began to think that maybe saying that every day is how they keep identifying with that.
Mm,
I don't like to have to say all my negative traits every single day
yeah.
just to remember them. So, and I kind of am a believer in manifestation and powerful thinking. So the book is really about a different approach, um, and it isn't a program that has happened yet. The program is called Reprieve, but it's based on a lot of solid research and life experiences that I've had, with this problem. And
Wonderful.
yeah, so that's
Okay.
what it's about. It's actually a pretty uplifting book, despite the
Sure.
difficult topic, because I'm showing what's possible.
Hmm.
Uh, Without it, it kind of has a little Pollyanna-ish feel to it, because it has so many happy endings, but it's also pretty real about the problem. So that's what that book's
Yeah.
about.
I'm sensing a theme with you in that you can find things that are really unpleasant to deal with, talk about, think about, and find a way to make it more palatable and find a solution even in what I call the suck of it all. When things are
Yes.
just the suck, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes it can feel like you're stuck in that suck, and you seem to be the person who's like, yes, let's acknowledge that, but then let's also find a way to make it work. So this is fun.
Yeah. Thank you. I guess I am that way. I can get down like everybody else, but
Sure.
as a teacher, and we all know there's a lot to be reformed in education as well
Mm,
to make it a really good environment for where all students can learn. But even there, I was always playing around with things and getting innovative, and enjoyed it. I know I loved it. I got rid of desks and we had beanbag chairs and
oh, fun.
high school students, honors students. And they loved them. And it was a really nice break for one period a day for them not to be in a hard, chair.
Yeah.
It worked out really well for discussions, sitting around in a group. They could pick up their chairs and move them. So, and I guess, it's part of a theme also with reach across the aisle, because I think we have to keep looking for different approaches and solutions, and we find those by talking to other people that are maybe different from us, not by always
Mhm.
hearing the same story from people that believe the same way that we do
Right.
about having a certain position, like healthcare reform. Let's take that as one example. Lots of conversations and lots of need to take place so we can, kind of move forward with that.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about Reach Across the Aisle and um, Two Parties, One Solution, and what kinds of things are you actually doing to start those conversations and to encourage others?
So, this is an important piece right here.
Hmm.
I'm talking with you today because I am trying to, it's my first grassroots movement, so I'm really new at this.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really sure how to expand it. And I've been on Facebook, I've been on Instagram a little bit, started the website, doing some blogging, but now I am interested in getting the word out there a bit further so it can really keep the conversation going, getting it started. On twopartiesonesolution.com, we have a map with states where people have purchased the shirts and are maybe, I think it's going to be really, January is going to be an important month when the new Congress convenes to get people to start wearing the shirts and talking with each other, maybe getting together with their friends, maybe taking some pictures and posting them on whatever social media groups they have. I'm going to get out there and see if I can get a little bit of newspaper and TV coverage as well. So that's what we have in mind for the future, and really looking for ideas that any of your listeners might have for what we should do, to get it going, to
Okay.
really have it take off.
Sure.
YouTube is going to be part of it. I'd really like to see some people who are prominent, get a hold of it and just be willing to endorse it. We have sent mailed t-shirts to talk show hosts, the late night talk show hosts, and see if they would maybe wear a shirt.
What a great idea.
We're going to send one as soon as we can figure out the address. Our president and our vice president. So,
Oh, nice.
because I think they're all about that. And so I think it'd be amazing if they would get a hold of it. So every way we can think of, we want to get it out there.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really good idea. You said the talk show hosts. I mean, a lot of people go to them for their news.
Right.
So what a great fun idea. I can just imagine Jimmy Fallon wearing one of these.
Yeah, right, absolutely right. You should have one. And of course I want you to have one, because you're somebody who's positive and promoting change, for people and for how to make things better. And so I'd really love to have you,
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited to get mine. I can't wait.
I'd like to be on your team too,
Yeah, definitely.
We can, that's what it's about. I think we help each other. That idea of cooperation, not competition.
Mm-hmm.
Because that competition is a paradigm that we have. It's really strong. I mean, think about in high school, you have a class rank. So does that help you work with others in your class, or do you want to get the better grade that the other person got? So, but we know, and I'm not against, I mean, I know healthy competition sometimes inspires us to do better. But I think we need to kind of shift that a little bit from the competition. It shouldn't be you get punished. Okay, so if one party in Congress supports what the other party is doing, that makes that other party look good. So how is anybody going to vote for our party? We're almost set up by having a two-party system for a problem.
Right.
But it's healthy to have two parties. Of course it is. It'd be healthy to have three parties, more parties. The more ideas we have, the better. But so it's just kind of time to look at that and figure out, what we're going to do about that.
I'm excited.
Start.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the progress that you make, especially, we obviously have recorded this before, but we chose to air this right before the switch in the White House. It's the day before Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So it's very timely. And we chose that on purpose.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I did want to say one other thing, because really another purpose, and perhaps really a larger purpose with Reach Across the Aisle, is for us to reach across the aisle in our own lives and reach out to someone who thinks very differently from the way we think, or someone that we don't really know. Like, I'll be the first to say I was raised in a very kind of a closed community, in that it was a small suburb in the Chicago area, and I went to Catholic school. So most of the people I knew were Catholic. Most of the people I knew were white. It was a white suburb. And that's who I knew. And it wasn't because I said that's who I want to know. It's just because that's kind of how it just was for me, and my eyes have just really recently been opened up by what's been going on, that I've missed out on a lot, and that I do want to reach across, and I want to have friends, and I want to know about people who were raised in a very different way from me, who think differently, and who maybe didn't have some of the opportunities I've had.
Yeah.
So I want to become a better person. I want to be more enlightened about that. And I also want to be better about reaching across to people that maybe I have burned some bridges with because things have happened over the years. So maybe it's time to put on a shirt and say, hey, what do you think? Should
Yeah.
we get this fight we have? Should we start talking to each other?
Hmm.
So maybe some people listening to this today will think about doing that too, in their lives.
That would be great. So I want to ask you a question because this is something that I think about more often than I probably want to admit. So when we're thinking about politics and the election we just went through and, being on one side versus the other, some people are very much on this side, very much on this side. And then some of us are more in the middle and we can kind of see both ways. But a common theme during this election was a lot of people who were, voting against Trump. There was a lot of, I'm trying to think of how to word this the right way. There was a lot of um, generalizing about certain groups of people. So if you're Republican, that automatically meant that you were racist and sexist and, all of the ists. And then if you were blue, you were, you know, dancing in meadows with fairies and rainbows all around you. And, you know, neither one of those things are true about either one of those groups. And it's not fair to stereotype or generalize anybody. But how, if you're looking to start that conversation with somebody who thinks very, very differently than you do, how can people do that in a respectful way and kind of get those stereotypes and generalizations out of their heads to open up that conversation and have it be productive and effective? Ooh, that was a long question.
Yeah. You
Sorry.
said that very well
Oh,
because I have to be the first. Here I am, printing these t-shirts and having a pretty heated discussion with family members who felt
mm,
different from me. So I thought, oh my gosh, whoops, I've slipped right into that. So I think it begins with a purpose, with the goal being talking with someone and asking them to explain to you how they feel about something with the with the idea that you want to understand and that maybe you're going to be quiet for a good period of time and really let them talk. Because I think when we get excited and they say something and not have a goal in the conversation to be to change the other person, but just to hear that person out.
yeah.
Because I had a friend who was definitely on the other side, and I had been a little bit afraid to talk with her about politics, but she got real excited about Reach Across the Aisle. So I was encouraged by that. And it was one of the best conversations I've ever had. We found out how much we both want that's the same. Like for our country, we actually made a list that we want safety, equality, prosperity, opportunity, peace, and justice.
Perfect.
Think if we remember maybe, or if we establish some goals that we have, then maybe say, okay, how can we get there?
Hmm.
And it's really like what you said, Carrie. One side's not got the total answer that's right, and neither does the other. And so honoring that and saying, we have labels, but that doesn't really mean anyone knows exactly how we feel about things. So I really do think it's going to take a lot of listening and, you know, purposeful intention, that we have that goal to understand the other side, the other person. What is it like for you to be a teenager growing up? What is it like for you to be overweight growing up? What's it like for you to be really wealthy? growing up? What labels do people put on you because of that?
Sure.
All of those things. Just to ask, the question and then to listen. I think that'd be a good start for us. Going to take baby steps.
Mhm.
But I'm hoping there's a place on Two Parties, One Solution for people to write in experiences. And so I'd love to have people do that. And of course, they could do it on other social media sites, but just share, say, okay, well, I tried this and, here's what happened, and it was kind of cool, and one person can't do everything, but we can all do something.
Yes.
And we can all get started, with something and share that something and then build on it.
I love that. I think that you hit the nail on the head with the just listening. Just stop talking for a little bit. So many of us don't practice that active listening. And, you know, when somebody says something, you're immediately thinking of, oh, I'm going to say this now. And some of us even interrupt the other person. But just allowing yourself to, and it's a practice. I mean, I still have to work on it, but practicing your listening skills and really hearing the other person, because a fundamental human need is to be heard. We all just want to be heard. And it doesn't matter that we come to an agreement in the middle. It's we got to say what we needed to say, and somebody actually listened to us and made us feel like our words and our thoughts, our feelings, our opinions meant something. That's all we want.
Yeah, practicing that active listening where when they say something, you acknowledge what you heard. Or, it's a great idea to acknowledge what we heard because sometimes we don't really hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the person meant it,
Right.
just because of our backgrounds. And sometimes I start listening and my mind wanders. I mean to be a better, I gotta admit, maybe I'm getting
Well,
old. That could be it. But, and we have a lot on our minds sometimes. So I think it's really good to do kind of a check on it. Okay, is this what you meant? And then we can
yeah.
clarify.
Yeah. And it is a practice. It's like medicine. You're never going to get it 100%. It's something that you have to practice and strengthen every day like a muscle. So
Yeah.
good.
We're still here, right, on this planet. So it must mean we have more work to do. So
Yes.
why not be doing it,
Yeah.
and making it better for ourselves and everybody else, while we're
Yeah.
at it.
So how does you said
I'm
that
really,
you've had some disagreements with family over politics. How does your family feel about this movement, the Reach Across the Aisle?
they're supportive.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good.
they really are. I think they understand it, and maybe always things happen for a reason. So maybe that's one important aspect of the fact that our family doesn't agree about everything is that we do see the need for it.
Yeah.
I see how people that I really love and respect can have a completely different take on something. And I've got to tell you, I've been shaking my head and saying, I don't really get that.
Mm.
But, you know, I've got to respect you enough to say, there's got to be a reason, that you see it this way, and that's only going to happen with talking and listening. And so, as hard as it is with the people we know, imagine how hard it is with the people, our elected officials, to do,
Yeah.
in a larger setting and with high stakes and with every single word that they say being tweeted or,
Yeah.
you know, perhaps misquoted or taken out of context. Or so I can imagine their job is not easy. And so I really wanted this movement to be friendly, not ugly, not to be, even though I'm personally very disappointed and kind of outraged with the bickering that's gone on in Congress. At the same time, being mad at them isn't going to help. I
Right.
think it's better if we encourage them and try to understand them and let them know what we want, but it's got to come from a lot of us, you know,
Hmm.
so that they'll listen.
Yeah, I agree. So this is airing in January. What's next for you in 2021? What are you most excited about?
So in 2021, I'm most excited about seeing what's going on with all of the movements that have begun in 2020 and seeing how this can be a part of it.
Mhm.
So every single social issue that we're facing has to do with reaching across the aisle. So I want to get in there with this notion. So it's going to begin with Congress, and then it's going to go with people that are working for climate change. It's going to be with people who are working with Black Lives Matter, any kind of social reform really that we need right now. I'm very concerned with the number of people who are facing eviction,
Mm.
and what are we going to do? Because that's another really serious problem. I think a lot of us landlords are all fat cats that have a lot of money, but you know what? A lot of landlords can only offer you a place to rent if you make your mortgage payment.
Yeah.
So you can't make your mortgage payment, or not your rent payment, sorry,
Yeah.
and
I
they
knew what you
can't make
meant.
mortgage payment. It's sort of a dominoes thing. So that's a huge, impact that
Hmm.
um, it's a matter that needs to be addressed, and I think we need to be listening to both sides of that issue as well. It's not a red and blue issue, but it's still going to
Yeah.
require communication and understanding each other.
Yeah.
So that's what's ahead for me. I want to just keep looking for ways to get us to talk to each other and work together.
Good. So how can people find you? I know you mentioned the website, but how can we find you? How can we order t-shirts? How can we support you in the cause?
So the best way to find me is through two parties, onesolution.com. And you don't spell out it's numbers, the number two and the number one. Because if you go on there, my blog is there. There's a contact me on there. So if you'd like to email with any ideas, if you want to voice your opinions, I am also on Facebook, and I'll be posting there. Two Parties, One Solution has a Facebook page. I've been laying low, as I said, but I'm going to be back on there as well. So please message me. I want to get back to people. I have time. I want this to be personal. I want to have a dialogue. I want to hear people's ideas for how we can move forward. And, if you're one of those people right now that's struggling economically and you say, well, boy, here's another thing, you got to buy a t-shirt.
Mm.
Well, message me and I'll send you one, because I want people to have it. We're a nonprofit, so we're not really out to with this for the money. And I do have a partner in crime here. He's not the vocal part. He does the web work and
Mm.
he manages the books. His name is Ken, and I couldn't do this without him. But we're both retired, and so we just want to help. So if you want a shirt, and you don't have to get a shirt for everybody, you could just get a shirt and then you can pass it around and have, your friends all take a picture in it. And
Yeah.
they can post themselves in their shirts on their Congress people's websites because they can message that way. It is hard to just email them because the email sites don't accept a picture, they only accept text.
Okay.
So put that with going to their Facebook pages or contacting them and finding out how to get an image to you. So, and we're going to be working on that and giving some direction and help for people too with how to do that. But we're waiting until the new Congress is,
Mm.
assembled, so we have names and addresses. So
Yeah.
we try to make it as easy for people as we can. So yeah, so I would say two parties, one solution.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. Yeah, and I'm Nancy, and I promise to get back to you. This means a lot to me. And Carrie, I'm so appreciative of you giving this time and airing this and getting the word out, because I see what a good person you are, and we're kindred spirits in wanting to, help everybody. And
Yeah.
I wish I had a joke for you, because I really like humor. Maybe
Oh,
time
that's all
I'll
right.
in a little joke.
I really appreciate you coming and reaching out and saying, "Hey, I have things to say," because, so many of the people that did reach out to me about being on the podcast are in the health and wellness field, or, something to do with women or money or something like that, which is great and wonderful. But this is so unique and such a needed conversation that I couldn't say no. I mean, I had to record you and get you on ASAP. So very timely and very, very needed. So thank
Oh,
you, Nancy. I
thank
have a
you.
joke. I have a joke for you.
Thank goodness.
Did you hear the joke about the dull pencil?
No.
Never mind, there's no point. My stepson told me that joke, and I think I laughed about it for 3 days.
Don't you love it
Oh
when
my
kids
gosh.
get humor and they
Yes.
start, telling themselves? It's really fun.
So funny. All right, Nancy, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to link to that website in the show notes. Hopefully, we can get you some more t-shirts sold and get some people involved.
Yeah, thank you. Let's do
Thank
it.
you. All
Do it
right.
together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy.